Good morning, my friends. I hope you guys are well. So, I don't usually do videos in the morning like this, but I also don't get to choose when it is that I do a video. It just happens. I just feel that wave of inspiration, but also of support and assistance. I do want you to know, though, today that my intention behind doing this video is not necessarily to teach. So in my other videos, I tend to share insights and all these things. And if you get those during this video, then I'm really glad. But my intention for this video is to share my personal experience, what I've gleaned so far through being on this journey since the thing started back in March of 2020. And if you gain something from this, then again, I'll be really happy. But if not, that's not the purpose of this video. So this is not going to be an easy video, which is why I was a little hesitant to share this with all of you because I never want you guys to feel like you made a mistake. I would never want you guys to feel that way. I would never want you guys to feel to add fuel to the fire of confusion, to add fuel to the fire of your uncertainty if you have any. Okay. So my intention is purely to share my personal experience, the different epiphanies I've had along the way, and wanting to convey those messages to you guys. So I, when everything started happening in the world, I felt a little uneasy and unsettled, as most of you did. And when they started rolling out the inoculations, everything in my body screamed no. And you can't always put a pin in why you feel a certain type of way, but that's the ingenious quality and the intrinsic quality of our intuitive gift and what's already built into our system. Sometimes we can't really explain why we feel a certain type of way, but it's the intelligence that knows far greater than we do what is best for us. And sometimes we may even kick and scream and go into that resistance mode or that rebellious mode because we want to have our way. But one thing I've learned along my journey is that we are very dumb comparatively to the higher self. We are very stupid in contrast to the higher self, the universe, and the inner workings of this incredibly intricate game that we're all a part of. So I I live by this principle, which is that I don't trust myself. I don't trust my human me, and so I refuse to make decisions. I always allow my universe, my higher self, to choose through me and for me. And so oftentimes what that's going to entail is that I may not make a decision even though I never make decisions. It's just perceivably I'm making a decision, right? If you were to look at me from the outside in, you would say, but he's making a choice. He just went to Miami, but he's making a choice. Everything he's about to share is a choice. It is a choice, but I don't really see it as a choice. I see it as being so out of my own way that this higher intelligence chooses through me. So it never feels like I'm forcing anything. And oftentimes I will wait till the last minute, till the 11th hour, and I'm not choosing. My higher self will swoop in and choose for me, um, just in the nick of time. Okay, so that's how I live my life because I don't trust my human, and that's me being honest enough to say that I still have ego. That sometimes I think I know what's best for me, and I actually don't. And so I choose to live this way. I always have and always will, because If, for instance, I am wanting or I'm thinking that I'm wanting to be in a relationship and I force it, then I might end up in a relationship with someone who wasn't the one. But if I just follow my truest frequency, my truest self, and I remain aligned, that doesn't mean that I can't proactively try to make it happen. But if I stay aligned, then I might meet the true love of my life. I'm just using this as an example, okay? Because I think so often we have that itch to get out there. We have that itch to find like minded communities. We have the itch to move. And you might be able to successfully move, no problem, because again, you do have a free will. But if you get out of your own way, the universe might select something for you that you had never anticipated that is far greater than you could have ever conceived. So I prefer to live that way because most of the time when we feel reactive or when we feel like I can't wait anymore, that stems from impatience. And when you're impatient in life, you're still going to get a better thing than you had, but it may not be the highest thing that you could have had. All right. So a lot of people have been asking me why I'm so unwavering, why I'm so firm when it comes to not playing in the new world. Why is it that I'm so adamant about remaining true and being steadfast in my own values and my own beliefs of how I've experienced life, right? Because at the end of the day, if you don't believe in your own truth and you don't follow your own frequency, and I'm talking about your original frequency, I'm talking about your higher self, you're always going to get swayed. You're always going to deviate from the path. And I prefer to stay the course with my life, even though it might be straight and narrow, meaning you can feel very isolated. You could feel very alone at times, which I do. I'm alone 99% of the time, unless I'm traveling with Lori or I'm having fun with friends, but that's rare. Most of the time, I'm alone. And it's because I've always been an old soul. I've never felt like I belonged. I've never felt like I belonged. And the more that I started to embrace that, the more at peace I felt in my heart, the more at peace I felt with my soul. It started going, it converted from loneliness to aloneness because I just didn't have the emotional bandwidth anymore to participate in a game that was exhausting to me. And you guys probably see me using the Merlin emoji a lot, the wizard emoji. It's my favorite emoji because I've always felt like an older man who is still in a younger, I wouldn't say I'm young, but I'm in a younger physical body. But how I've always felt in my soul has been like an older wizard or an older man. I've always felt that way. I always had this ability to see through the smoke and mirrors, and it was never appealing to me. It was never interesting to me. I tend to be someone who's very real, and I have found that a lot of people aren't capable of being real. And I don't fault them, by the way. I really don't fault them because I understand how trauma works. I understand how when you have a shadow on you and someone is blatantly honest or someone is not afraid to be unapologetically themselves, that can send people into a tailspin. They don't know what to do with it. They start to feel very uncomfortable because it can bring up their unresolved traumas. It can bring up all of this discomfort in them. And so I found that by living a very honest life, a lot of people haven't been able to handle that. They haven't been able to hang with me and my energy. And I've accepted that. And there's been a lot of liberation in accepting that and keeping to myself and staying dedicated to my path. A lot. I'm a very dedicated person because I understand that everything in this universe is a give and a take. So recip- uh, it's a vibrationally universe based on reciprocity. So everything is a give and a take. There's always going to be an equal exchange of energy. So if I choose not to meditate, then I'm not going to be able to reap the benefits of meditation because I'm choosing from, right? I'm choosing not to meditate. So whatever you invest in is where you're going to get your return in life. So I tend to be very dedicated to my path. I don't have limits in my mind. I really don't. Sky's the limit for me. I really believe in everything. I believe that I will someday move objects with my mind. I do believe that I will continue to unlock and activate these incredible abilities that we all have via our sophisticated DNA. I believe in everything. I honestly am doubtless as a person. I don't do doubt. I don't question myself. That's something I've always had. The only issue that I've bumped up against being doubtless is that sometimes it can send people into insecurities, like they start to question themselves. And I understand that, but I really do I really do feel like I'm here to empower everyone. I really want everyone to know that they can have it all. And it's just a matter of working with the power of your mind because your mind is limitless. It really is. So I want to get into why take a I chose to take a back seat and I decided to not play in this new world. I've always been a firm believer that when there's a sense of urgency or immediacy in the world and everyone's scrambling and everyone's running, to slow down, to not follow the herd, because I have found that for myself, when I slow down, that's when I'm really able to hear God. That's when I'm able to hear my inner voice, my intuition, my higher self, whatever you want to call it. That's when I'm really able to tune into this greater intelligence. So when everyone's running to the store to get toilet paper, I will not run to the store to get toilet paper. Okay? I fly in the face of everything that is founded on conformity. I always have and I always will. I will never, ever, ever conform to small mindedness because that's efforting to me. And I'm not going to live a forceful life. I'm not going to conduct myself that way. To me, that is holding a lower frequency and that is being constantly magnetized or pulled into a stronger magnet. Okay? I am the magnet. I don't chase things. I am the magnet. If I'm running to get toilet paper, if I'm chasing a relationship, if I'm chasing money, if I'm chasing anything, then I'm not in my full empowered state. I am not running full universal energy. I am not seeing myself as a magnetic creator being that doesn't have to lift a finger, but that instead can be working with his emotions, with the power of the mind, and continuing to energize and build my own universe. I am the center of my universe. I am not the center of the universe. That would make me a narcissist, but I am the center of my universe. And I am the gatekeeper of my universe. And I get to decide what I allow in versus what I don't allow in. It is my universe. And as long as I subscribe to this idea that I have to play someone else's game, that I have to jump into their universe, I will never be able to build my own. I will always be subject to someone else's creation. Okay? So I treat my life like I am building my universe every single day, consistently, with dedication, with devotion. and I am unwavering in that. And the reason why I'm not sorry for conducting myself this way is because everyone can have their own universe. The universe is unlimited. The universe can have many universes. It's called a multiverse for a reason. And so it's not like I'm better than anyone. I'm just focused on my universe and you're building your own. And 7.8 billion humans have an opportunity to build their own universe. That's what's so genius about this game. So I was talking about how I held off on doing anything. And the reason for this is because I tend to receive a lot of epiphanies when I slow myself down. And I'm glad I did. And again, I just want to reiterate, I don't want you to feel bad when I share the epiphanies that I have and continue to have, because ultimately you have to trust that you knew what you knew when you did what you did. And you can't operate from a place other than that if you didn't know any better. Okay. And I know that sounds very, it could potentially run the risk of sounding condescending. It's not. I've made countless, I don't want to call them mistakes because they're not. But let's just say I fucked up a lot in my life. I wouldn't be standing where I am right now if I didn't fuck up. I have fucked up innumerable times and I've learned from my quote unquote mistakes because they weren't mistakes. They were me not knowing better, me being in survival mode, me not knowing that there are other options, me not realizing that there's always another solution. And I've learned from that. If you guys know my history, okay, in my early 20s, I had sugar daddies, right? Like I wasn't as crazy as other people in LA, but I've been around the block, my friends. Like I've done a lot of things in my life. So that's why I'm not in a position to judge anyone. I never have been, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I've been through so much in my life. I've been institutionalized for being bipolar. I've taken advantage of people when I was young because I was in survival mode. I've I've done countless things that I don't regret because it shaped me. And I'm proud of the man that I've become because it is through that that I was able to understand how important having integrity is, having sovereignty, and I had to really build myself from the ground up. I feel like I was in the pits of hell in my early 20s and I couldn't climb out of hell. And there was a reason as to why I couldn't climb out of hell is because the universe and my higher self needed to teach me how to climb out of hell. It needed to teach me that everything is energy, that it's truly through the act of purifying your heart and sanitizing your soul that you start to climb the ladder of consciousness. It's not through a physical action. It can be. I mean, when you're generous, when you are giving, that's a positively oriented action. But I had to learn that everything is frequency. I had to learn that everything is energy. And when you focus on cleaning up your act, then you start to witness miracles all around you. You start to see how generous and how miraculous this universe is. You know, I'm just grateful that I still look semi cute because if you guys saw me at the age of 23, I looked like a 47-year-old man. I lost all my hair. I looked I looked awful at the age of 23. I'm telling you. I had a boyfriend at the time and I was coming from Canada and I lived in a mansion in LA. This guy who ended up being a huge narcissist saw that I was struggling, took me in, and I was green. I didn't know anything about life. I was raised in an Egyptian family, and if you know about Egyptians or any Middle Eastern family, they they can kind of handicap sometimes because my dad wasn't around emotionally. My parents got divorced when I was 7, and my mom was an amazing mom who always made sure I had money in my bank account, and I'm so grateful for that. But the problem in Egyptian cultures or any Middle Eastern culture is that your parents will enable you and sometimes they'll handicap you, and you don't even know how to make money. Like, I didn't start making money till the age of like 27 or 26. Did I have jobs here and there? Yeah, I had jobs here and there, but I, it took me a really long time to understand life. It took me a really long time to understand life. So I'm really grateful to my mom, you know? Um, but at a certain point, when I was in my early 20s, I had to cut her out of my bank account because I knew that if I didn't, I would never learn the ropes. I would never learn the ins and outs of how to survive. And am I proud of some of the decisions I made? No, I'm not. But it is what it is. And I've become the man that I am because I've seen all the different hells. I've seen all the different layers of darkness. And I have this saying that goes, I danced with darkness and learned its moves. Now I stand in the light and can no longer be seduced. You know, I danced with darkness and learned its moves. I learned every move. I learned how to be the best manipulator. I learned how to be everything when I was young because I had to survive. And then I had to clean it up when I had my awakening. And there was so much purging. And I was like, oh my God, do I really have to call this other person and say sorry? The first 2 years of my awakening were hellacious in the sense that I had to constantly call people and say sorry. And all the gunk and all the darkness, I had to purge it out because I couldn't live with myself. I had to atone for all of my wrongdoings. I had to right my wrongs. Do I still mess up sometimes? Yes. The difference now is that because I don't have a lot of debt in my karmic bank account, if I mess up, I can redeem myself on the spot and be like, "Hey, that wasn't okay. I'm sorry." But I don't have this backlog of all these apologies that I owe people, you know? So, anyways, the reason why I decided to slow down and really take the time to tune into my higher self this last year and a half is because I wanted to really understand, why is my body screaming no? Why am I not able to just be like other people and adhere to the demands and adhere to the mandates? Why can't I just be like other people and make my life simpler? I mean, I've really, really had a challenging time this last year and a half. I was undocumented in the United States for 13 years. Okay. I was undocumented for 13 years. I ran away from Canada when I was 22 because I was thrown in psychiatric wards. And I knew that if I didn't escape, I would always, always be mind controlled. I would always be seen as crazy, and I would never get to reconnect to my soul. So there was something bigger than me that pulled me out of Canada. Okay. There was something bigger than me. Thank you for the donations, you guys. I'm sorry if I'm not saying thank you as I go. I'm just really, I'm just really immersed in this, but thank you. So I out of young age, and to me, 22 is pretty young to leave a country and never look back. But what was the point of this? There was a point to this. I Okay, so someone's saying that the service is spotty. I'm gonna keep going just because it doesn't look spotty on my end. So I'm gonna keep going, okay? Because to me it looks good. And this has happened before, and the video ends up posting pretty well. So, anyways, I escaped, and I can't remember my train of thought here, but I was undocumented. There it is. I was undocumented in the States for like 13 years. And I then got my green card 2 years ago. And then the pandemic hit. So, can you imagine you're living in this country, you're fighting to get your green card because you want to be able to visit your family, you want to be able to be free, and then the pandemic happens. And then I'm like, what? Right? I'm like, what? Like, I fought so hard to get my green card, and it was like a slap in the face that I couldn't go back home. Now I'm thoroughly trained to be cool as a cucumber, right? Like, I'm thoroughly trained to remain composed, to be cool, to process what comes up for me. But my human self still goes through ups and downs, like all of you. So imagine I'm documented for 13 years, and then I finally get my green card. Oh my God, my dream has come true. And bam, you can't go to Canada. And then bam, now Canada has all these mandates, and you definitely can't go back now. Right? So the reason why I've made a deliberate choice to not play in this reality is because my epiphany was that it is a reality that is founded on terms and conditions. And the reason why we struggle in life is because we don't unconditionally accept ourselves. We don't unconditionally love ourselves. So we're always chasing or seeking approval from other people. Okay. If I'm nice to my family, then they will do this for me. If I'm extra nice to my boss, then he might give me a raise. If I suck up to my teacher in school, then they're going to give me a good grade. Right? That's all manipulation. That's all us not fully accepting ourselves. That's us not unconditionally knowing that we are worthy of love without conditions. So I had this massive realization a few months ago, and I was waiting for an epiphany. I'm like, God, show me why I'm so against it. I understand why you would be against it from a physiological, like strictly from a physiological place. So I get that. Like, why would I want to put chemicals in my body? But I wanted to understand the deeper meaning. I wanted to understand the deeper meaning of why I have such an opposition to what's going on in the world. And I got it. I got it. I'm an advocate for being unconditionally loved as you are. I don't care how flawed you are. I don't care how broken you think you are. I will love you. I don't care if you don't feel like working and everyone around you is telling you you're lazy. I will tell you thank you. I will say thank you for doing the opposite of what most people are doing right now, which is they're continuing to be a slave to the system. I will love you through it all because my love is unconditional. And I give that because I never really got that. I didn't. I never really got that. I'm talking about unconditional love where you can share anything that's on your heart and you're not judged for it. I never got that. I never felt safe in my life. And oftentimes, when we didn't get the love that we needed, or if we've been abandoned, then and we're like, I'm going to be a cycle breaker. I am going to break the cycle, and I will love people. I will not abandon them because that happened to me, and it was very painful. And I'm not talking about like my family loves me unconditionally. People love me unconditionally. What I'm talking about is there's still a condition sometimes with people, okay, where you can't share that you want to make love to someone. You can't share that you're not bipolar. You can't share that you want to branch out and try new things because you're always judged for it. That was the reality that I grew up in. I was seen as like unstable when really I was more stable than everyone around me. Them trying to control me was them being unstable. And I always saw it through that lens. Like anyone who tries to control me isn't loving me unconditionally yet. They're not. Anyone who tries to control me is unstable, meaning they have their own crap and they're not wanting to take responsibility for themselves. And now they're going to throw that shade on me, and I'm stable the whole time. I've been gaslit my whole life. So, as someone who's been gaslit my whole life, I'm an advocate. I stand for freedom. I stand for choice. I stand for unconditional love. So, what dawned on me is that I didn't want to partake in a reality that was conditional anymore. Like, if I need to present something to get into a restaurant, if I need to present something to go to your bar, if I need to present something to lift weights, fuck you. You're not loving me unconditionally, and I'm not having it. I'm sorry. I will not play in a reality that is based on conditionality. I will not do it because I am the center of my universe. I get to call the shots. I get to decide what unconditional love looks like. I get to decide. So why would I invite something into my reality, into my energy field? Forget the inoculation, forget all of that. I'm talking about energy. Why would I allow in an energy that's completely out of accord, out of vibration accord with my true self to perpetuate my own suffering? The only reason why we suffer is because we don't realize that we are deserving, we are worthy of unconditional love. That is the only reason why we struggle. Only reason. Or when you finally love yourself and all the things that were conditional in you start to purge, that's when you struggle too because it's painful. But that's a positive struggle. That means you're on your way out, meaning on your way in. That's you reconnecting to God. That's you realizing that God would always support your decisions, would always support your choices. So if you can't support my choice to be in a reality that's unconditionally based, then I'm not going to play in your universe. I'm not going to jump into your universe because then I'm still going to have a crack in my own wall. So I just want to share this because it's so important for us to understand, because this is applicable to every area of your life. This is applicable to every area of my life. As long as you keep your unworthiness alive, my friends, you will never, ever be satisfied. You will never, ever truly connect to bliss. You will never, ever, ever connect into unconditionality. But you're consenting to that. You're the one giving your power away. You're the one giving your choice away for someone else to choose for you. So I had this incredible epiphany where I was like, I think I'm finally going to put my foot down. Finally, because I've been someone who always makes exceptions. Like someone can betray me and I will forgive them. Now that's not going to change. I will always forgive people. That's my nature because I don't judge people. I know that they're only operating on what they know or don't know. So I never fault people for conducting themselves from a place of unconsciousness. I will always forgive people. The difference is that I'm not going to welcome unconsciousness in my life anymore. Meaning, you can be in my life. I love you. I support you. You can get the inoculation if you want. I support you. My family got it. I love them. I understand them. They're in Canada. The conditions there are super harsh. It's super restrictive in Canada. I would never, ever fault my family for doing what's right for them. That's the whole point. They are the center of their universe. They get to decide what's right for them. I stand for free will. I stand for free will. That's why I respect every person and their journey. Okay. But the thing is, if you and I are in each other's lives and you disrespect me, I'm not going to cancel you, but I'm going to only engage with the part of you that I love, with the part of you that is shining with light. If you say a comment that's like uh, disrespectful, I'm not going to fight with you. I'm not going to like I don't need to defend myself anymore, right? I'm just going to witness what's going on. I'm just going to observe it, but I'm not going to play in that anymore because I'm the center of my universe. I'm the gatekeeper. I get to decide what I let in and what I don't let in. So I want to move into this next point, and I know this is a long video, but I feel like it's really important. We have almost 2,000 people in the house. I'm really glad you guys are here. So the reason why a lot of people are choosing to engage in a reality that's based on conditions is because that's all they know. All they know is sucking up to their teacher to get the good grade. All they know is being extra kind to their parents so that they can get something. That's all they know. They don't actually know what happens when you say no to a family member. They don't actually know what happens when you don't always conform to the rules. They don't always know. That's because they have a blind spot. Because all they know is how they've been raised, which is a dysfunctional pattern of love. It's conditional love. And so, why is it that more people didn't question the narrative? Why is it that more people didn't choose to wait? It's because when all you know is conditionality, then you're going to equate this new reality, this new world, as love. You're going to equate that new world to love because you're used to playing in a game that's conditional. If all you know is if I cook for my husband, then he'll make love to me, then that's all you're going to know, unless you branch out and try something different, unless you diverge. That's all you're going to know. So when your life is filled with all these terms and all these conditions, which isn't love, most people don't know what love is. Most people don't understand that love is following your truest frequency of sovereignty, of integrity, of independence, of doing what makes you happy. Most people don't understand that love is empowering each other to become more empowered. We're empowering each other to become more empowered. Most people don't really understand love. They don't. That's because they're vibrating at a lower level of consciousness that is reliant, that is codependent, that is, I want a stamp of approval. So, of course, I'm going to go out and do this thing because then you're going to like me. So, I started seeing all of this play out in my mind and I got it. Like everything clicked into place for me. And I thought about all the times where I made exceptions for people. Like I always let things slide. And the problem with that is you let it slide under your doorway and it goes into your universe, right? I'm going to repeat that. When you make exceptions with people, meaning when you condone their unconsciousness, then you're letting that unconsciousness seep into your universe. And if you let that energy seep into your universe, then guess what? You just let something in. You just let some mosquitoes in. You just let some bugs in. You just let some termites in. You understand? So, my biggest epiphany this year has been I will not make exceptions anymore because I have such a soft spot for people. that well, I will always accept people as they come. I think the difference now is I've learned how to separate the love I have for people and their unconscious behaviors. Like just this week alone, two people that I know and I'm very close to said to me, "Well, Phil, you're only one person. You're not really going to make a difference." Right? Like two people in the last 3 days have said to me, "Well, Phil, don't you think the world is already controlled? Don't you think the world is, so what's the point? It's not like you as one individual is going to make a difference. You're not going to make it. You're just one person, right?" I didn't feel a need to defend myself because I love them unconditionally, but I'm not going to engage with that comment. Do you understand what I'm saying now? I've learned how to compartmentalize. I love this person unconditionally, but I'm not going to engage with that comment. I don't need to prove anything to people. I really don't. Every time you explain yourself, every time you justify yourself, every time you defend yourself and you argue for your own limitations, you keep inviting the energy that is preventing you from building your own universe. You keep inviting in the energy that is preventing you from building your own universe. You are polluting, you are contaminating your universe. You cannot reason with someone who is caught in unconsciousness. It's not possible to reason with someone who is unconscious. Now, if they text you the next day and they be like, "Hey, Phil," sorry, my little Phil is coming out because that's actually how I talk, but I'm trying to be proper. Um, if they text you the next day and they're like, "Yo, that comment was out of line. I'm sorry." Then they're okay, cool. Okay, we might be able to hang. But I didn't get no text from these people. I didn't get any text from these people saying, "Yo, that I doubted you." Of course you're making a difference because you're living your truth and that is making a difference. Think of all the humans who aren't living their truth. Think of all the people who haven't awakened yet. Nothing wrong with them, but in my opinion, when you live your truth, you're holding a higher frequency. That higher frequency creates a bigger chain reaction. The higher frequency overrides unconsciousness. You can test it sometime. If someone says something to you that's inappropriate and you call them out, they're not going to fight you because your higher frequency of being more conscious and catching that blind spot is going to put them right in their place. It's going to put them in their place. They're not going to have a rebuttal because you're right. You know what I mean? If someone says to you, "I can't stand where I live," and you say, "Well, you can always move," what are they going to say? Nothing. Because you're right. Because you're right. Like, why are you complaining? You can always move. Higher frequency overrides lower frequency, puts lower frequency into place. And you're not trying to teach them anything, you're just being honest. Like, "Hey, I understand, but you know that you can always move, right?" Yeah. Boom. They can't say anything. That's because you just nipped it in the bud. So I've had a lot of people in the recent months tell me that I'm not making a difference. I want to be very clear. I'm not doing this for others. I don't live my life for others. I'm not living my life hoping that something's going to change in the world. I'm actually very realistic. That's the Virgo in me. I'm very earthy. I'm very cosmic, but I'm all very realistic. I know that humans made a choice in March of 2020 to, for the most part, give their choice away. Anytime you give your choice away, there's going to be ramifications. So I knew back then that we made a big whoopsie, that we pooped in our diaper, right? I knew back then, whoopsie, pooped in your diaper. I knew back then. So when a collective or when a humanity makes a choice and they put on the things on their face, that choice is going to have to play out because choice is what creates. So that choice is going to have to play out. It has to. So I'm not a fool. I'm very aware that whatever happens, happens. I don't have control over what happens. So from that perspective, as one human, I know I can't make a difference. Because if 5 billion humans or 4 billion humans choose to conform, then that's what's going to happen. But I'm okay with that. I'm doing this for me. It's not about the world. If it impacts the world positively, then I'm happy. But I'm not doing it for others. I'm doing it because I have a duty. I have a duty to honor my truest frequency, my truest self. Because if I don't, then I'm always going to belong to a world that doesn't love me unconditionally. And I'm ready to find out what's on the other side of that, which isn't the other side, it's this side. I haven't changed. I haven't moved. I haven't left. The world has left me. I don't need to step out of my truth to make things happen. I'm always the same. I'm right here. I ain't moving. I ain't moving. You want to disrespect me? You want to dishonor me as a soul? I didn't move. I love you. I'll be here when you're ready to apologize. I'm always here. I'm unconditional in my love. Does that mean I'm going to call you as much? No, I'm not going to cancel you because you have to take accountability for having dishonored me. You have to take accountability for having disrespected me. But I haven't moved. You moved away when you did that. You moved away when you went unconscious. You understand how this works? You moved away. People move away when they go unconscious. They move away from God. They move away from the source of light. They move away from their truest self because they want a pat on the back from mommy, because they want a pat on the back from daddy, because they want a good grade from the teacher. They want to get an A plus. You just left your truth. I ain't moving. I'm right here. Unwavering. Always the same. It's a lot of work to move around. It's a lot less work to be the same, to be truthful, to be respectful, to live in integrity, and to see how the world isn't able to stay put. The world can't do without their phone when they're at a dinner. The world needs distraction constantly, which is okay. I get it. I get it. It's part of the game. But I'm choosing my game. So the reason why a lot of people are playing in that is because they haven't completed the lesson, which is a lesson you can learn in less than 0.1 seconds. Okay? That they are worthy of unconditional love. So they're going to remain in a conditional reality just based on choice. They chose to remain in a conditional reality. You know what I want? Because a lot of people said to me, but Phil, you love LA. You love LA. Why would you leave? I'm not leaving yet. I don't make choices, like I told you. Is it possible that my universe is going to spit me out of here in a year from now? Yes, it's very possible. But I'm not going to get ahead of myself because I don't live that way. I'm always the same. I'm always peaceful. I don't let my outer circumstances dictate how I live. But I'm open, meaning the way my life has gone is that something takes over me and it just happens. And before I know it, it's like, boop, I've teleported into this other reality. But I don't feel like I make the choice. I feel like the choice is made through me. And yes, it would definitely be Florida, 100%. It would be Florida. So I've already thought of that, you know. But I'm not. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna let my mind run wild with those thoughts because I prefer to live thoughtless and thinkless. I prefer to live in alignment. If it's not here in my now, then I'm not going to entertain it. The thought might happen where it's like, oh yeah, yeah, that would be cool, but I don't have an attachment to it. Meaning, if I look away from what's here right now, I'm not giving love to my table. I'm not giving love to my apartment. I'm not giving love to everything that God has given me. That's why I'm very present with my life. Because just like I acknowledge you and would never want you to do something you don't want to do, and would never tell you that you're doing it incorrectly or imperfectly, I would never want to disacknowledge the life that God gave me. Today is a gift. Being with you guys is a gift. I'm not going to look away. I'm not going to neglect what I currently have. I'm not. But going back to my point, why why so people have been saying to me, but you love LA, why don't you just do it? Right? Just do it. You know what I'm talking about, right? Why don't you just do it? Because if I do something that doesn't resonate with me, I may never discover what's on the other side of choosing me. So I'm going to give you an example. The world is getting narrower and narrower and narrower. What if, hypothetically speaking, the universe chooses to eject me out of LA because I chose my truth and then LA canceled me, right? Because in the next month or two, they're going to have all these things like you have to show the QR code to get into restaurants, to the gyms. Like that's happening in LA. Hasn't happened yet. It started happening, but in November, it's going to be solidified. It's done. So I'm basically just going to be home or outside. Why is it that I'm not going to do it? Because the universe might send me to another state and I might end up meeting the love of my life. So I don't see anything that's happening as negative. I see it as a positive. And a lot of people are so afraid of stepping into their truth and being guided or being led to a completely different reality. So they hold on to what they know. They hold on to what they know, not realizing that they may never amount to their highest potential. Your highest potential cannot actualize itself unless you live in alignment with your truth. It cannot. If you don't live your truth with your friends, you're always going to be pissed about something. You're always going to be pissed off about something. If you don't live your truth with your boyfriend, with your girlfriend, you're always going to be pissed off about something. That's because you're not manifesting the higher version of what that situation could be. Because you're too afraid of change. You're too afraid of being in your truth, of voicing your opinions. So, of course, the world is going to feel like it's squeezing you and squeezing you and squeezing you. But maybe that's a blessing. Maybe that's a blessing. I am refusing to subscribe to a reality that is conditional. I want you to know something. The longer that the longer you will postpone your true destiny. The longer that you put off your truth, the longer it will take to get to your destiny. The only thing standing between you and your destiny is your fake self. The only thing standing in between you and your destiny are your beliefs that the only way you can get love is by appeasing other people. When you when you stand in the way of your own destiny, meaning your fake self, I'm talking to your true self doesn't stand in the way of your own destiny. They're one and the same. But when the fake self, I'm not saying you're fake, I'm just saying when your fake self is standing, I have a fake self too. Okay? All the times that I made an exception, that was my fake self. I already knew, I already knew I shouldn't try to prove a point to this person. I shouldn't have to defend myself, but I did. That wasn't my true self. Your true self is chilling. Your higher self isn't bothered. Your higher self isn't worried about what someone said to you to try to get under your skin. Your true self, your higher self isn't playing in that. Your higher self is unbothered. So the only thing that creates these delays, this is really important. Hear me out here. The only thing that creates these delays, what I like to call these layovers, where you don't get the nonstop flight in first class, the only thing that gets in the way is when you are not living in your utter truth. That's all. Because you'll notice that when you do live in your truth, people get reactive. What do you think that means? It means that you were enslaved to a system that was governing you. And now that you've slipped through their fingers, meaning now that you're no longer governed by that system and you basically just broke it, you cut the cord, you're going to notice what you were a slave to. Okay, so when you live your truth, a lot of people around you are going to get reactive. That's because you were entwined, you were enmeshed in a system of control. That can only happen if you consent to your fake self. That can only happen if you consent to anything that is outside of yourself, that is in someone else's universe. So you forget that you have your own universe. Okay? So when you are not operating as your truest self, your most organic self, you postpone your destiny because you're caught in a system that vibrates slower. Am I going too deep right now? I think you got this. You are vibrating in a system you are vibrating. I forgot what I said. You're vibrating in a system that vibrates slower. Fear vibrates slow because it's low. Shame vibrates slow because it's low. It's a low frequency. Guilt vibrates slow because it's a low frequency. When you are choosing to be your fake self, when you are not choosing your true self, you are creating delays because you are running beliefs that are keeping you tethered to systems of control. No one's doing that but you. Okay? It's a product of your own creation via your choice. Via your choice. That's all it is. It's a product of your creation via your choice. Everything is choice. I'm not saying it's easy to choose you. I'm not saying it's easy to choose unconditional love. I'm not saying it's easy to choose that you are worthy of love unconditionally. I'm not saying that's easy. But it's who you are. It's the most natural thing there is. Everything else, the excuses we use, the friendships that we keep playing in that are not where we're not being ourselves, because you don't want to blame it on others, it's on you, where you're not being yourself, that's all us. We create that. So once you start to remove the fear, once you start to eliminate these beliefs, you're going to start to move into a higher vibration. Guess what happens when you do that? Your wheels are vibrating faster. What does that mean? There aren't conditions involved. What does that mean? You manifest much faster. What does that mean? You collide with your destiny much sooner because you're not letting things in anymore. You're not letting things slip in to the cracks of your wall that are not in alignment with your truest self. Okay? Someone saying fake friends suck. There's no such thing as a fake friend. If you are your true self and someone can't hang with your frequency, they will drop away. You'll never have to call someone fake. You will never have to call someone fake. When you are true, perfectly honest, blatantly you, unapologetically you, you will never have to judge another person again. Because what isn't able to keep up with your frequency isn't going to stick. It's going to fall by the wayside. There's no ill feelings. There's no judgment. If your friends are fake, you're being fake because you still have them in your life. Meaning you're too afraid to be your true self to see what would actually unravel if you were your true self. If you are your true self, you may actually see that those fake friends were just being like you. They were being fake, meaning that they might actually have a lot more confidence than you might have imagined because you decided to step up to the plate and attract a truer version of reality. Because remember, we have to be compassionate with people. The programming runs really deep. It's not their fault that they're not being true. It's not their fault that they're not being real. That's where compassion and empathy come in. Okay? We've been mind controlled. We've been programmed. We've been conditionally loved. That's why they're being fake. Okay? That's why you're not being your true self. Because you're not wanting to see the truth. You're not wanting to give more compassion. You're not wanting to get real. There's no more judgment when you understand at a core level that no human ever deserved to be mind controlled. Your parents did the best that they could. Were they programmed? Yes. That programming was passed down from the system into them, and then they became the system and started controlling you. They were unconscious. They got controlled. They fell for it due to trauma, okay? Due to trauma. When you understand that they simply had trauma in their body, you will forgive everyone, okay? No one deserves to get controlled. No one. Your parents did the best that they could. That fake friend of yours is doing the best that they could. Be willing to get uncomfortable. Be willing to find what is the elephant in the room. What is this monkey on my back? What is this monkey on your back? Let's get real. And then you're going to find out if they're truly wanting to be in your life or if it's too much for them. And if it's too much for them, you will have compassion because they're not ready to do that because maybe they're trying to build a different universe. Yeah? So there's no ill feeling. There's no judgment. All right? So I know this was a long thing, but I'm really glad that 2,000 people joined us. If you would like to donate, I really appreciate it. So my link is feelgoodlife.com/donate. I want you to know that I don't expect donations, but I do appreciate them. And I love you so much. And I am choosing to belong to a reality that is unconditional. What are you choosing? Leave your comments below.